our natural satellite? Moon. Okay, chile class Then, what is a satellite? The object which revolves around the planets are called satellite. Then, moon. What about moon? We all know that moon is our natural satellite, right? And it is the closest neighbor in Earth's closest neighbor in space. Space is Earth in the closest neighbor on moon. Then why does the moon shine? You have seen the full moon, it's shining. Why? Actually, it doesn't have any light of its own, but it shines because it reflects the light of the sun that is falling on the moon. Moon in the mugalilekku veeyunna sun rays. Our rays reflect cheyidittaanu moon ingane shine cheyyunnathu. It is smaller than sun. Moon is much smaller than sun, but we seem to be that moon is bigger than sun. Why? Because the sun is very far away from the earth and the moon is closer to the earth. The moon is about 3,84,400 kilometers away from the earth. 3,84,400 kilometers. And what about the surface of moon? By looking at the sky, we seem to be that the surface of moon is very smooth. But actually, the surface is rough and uneven. And it is made of great plains and huge mountains. There are big round hollows called craters on the moon. These craters are formed when the pieces of meteors fall on the moon. Okay? The surface of the moon is scarred with millions of craters. The rocks that were brought back to Earth by astronauts tell us that the surface of moon is covered with dark grey dust. Astronaut ഭൂമിയിലേക്ക് കൊണ്ടുവന്ന റോക്സ് കണ്ടാൽ നമുക്ക് മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ പറ്റും മൂണിന്റെ സർഫസിൽ ഗ്രേ ഡസ്റ്റ് ഫിൽ ചെയ്തിരിക്കുകയാണ്. The moon is about 4,500 million years old, the same age of Earth. Earth ഉണ്ടായപ്പോൾ തന്നെ മൂണും ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുണ്ട്. Why there is no life on the moon? Because there is no air and water on the moon. The Earth is surrounded by a layer of atmosphere which absorbs a part of strong heat of the sun and allows only a part of it to Earth. നമുക്ക് ആവശ്യമുള്ള ഹീറ്റും ലൈറ്റും മാത്രമേ ഈ അറ്റ്മോസ്ഫിയർ എർത്തിലേക്ക് കടത്തി വരുന്നുള്ളൂ. Okay? And the atmosphere also protects us from dangerous meteors which would otherwise have fallen to Earth. നമ്മുടെ എർത്തിലേക്ക് വരുന്നത് തടയുന്നതാണ് അറ്റ്മോസ്ഫിയർ. Okay? Why there is no life on the moon? I have already told you that there is no air and water on the moon. And the gravitational force of attraction of moon is only 1/6 of Earth. Earth ne got 1/6 മാത്രമേ gravitational force ഉണ്ടാവുള്ളൂ. അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ എത്ര ഹെവി ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഒബ്ജക്റ്റ് ആണെങ്കിലും മൂണിൽ അതിന് വെയിറ്റ് കുറവായിരിക്കും. We can lift the rocks very easily. And there is no protective layer of atmosphere for the moon's surface. So there is no protection from the strong rays of sun. The side of the moon facing the sun is extremely hot and the side away from the sun is too cold to support life. സണ്ണിനെ ഫേസ് ചെയ്ത് നിൽക്കുന്ന ഭാഗം ഭയങ്കര ചൂടും അതുപോലെ ഫേസ് ചെയ്യാത്ത ഓപ്പോസിറ്റ് സൈഡ് ഭയങ്കര തണുപ്പുമായിരിക്കും. സോ there is no features for support life. In the absence of air, no sound can be heard in the moon. The sky is always bleak and there is no cloud to hide the sun. It is a lonely and a silent place without any animals, plants or lakes. Okay? മൂന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ഒരു സൈലന്റ് പ്ലേസ് ആണ്. ഒരു സൗണ്ടോ കാര്യങ്ങളോ ഒന്നും ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. സൗണ്ട് നമുക്ക് കേൾക്കാനും പറ്റില്ല. എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ്? Because there is no air. Landing on the moon. You have already studied that. Who is the first person who landed on the moon? Neil Armstrong. In the year 1969. 21st July 1969. Neil Armstrong landed on the moon. And they traveled on the vehicle Apollo spacecraft, American spacecraft, that is Apollo 11. Neil Armstrong along with Edwin Aldrin stepped on the moon while the third astronaut, Michael Collins, remained in the aircraft and circled the moon because they have to keep in touch with the Earth. എർത്തുമായിട്ടൊരു ടച്ച് ക്രിയേറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ വേണ്ടിയിട്ടാണ് മൈക്കൽ കോളിൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞ ആസ്ട്രോനോട്ട് മൂണിന് ചുറ്റും കറങ്ങിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്. While the other two, Neil Armstrong and Edwin Aldrin, stepped on the moon. Okay? And which are the phases of the moon? We can see different shapes of moon daily, right? നമ്മൾ ഒരു സർക്കിൾ മാത്രമല്ല കാണുന്നത്. Then the different shapes of moon as visible from the earth are called phases of moon. The shape during a particular phase depends on the light part that can be seen to us. എർത്തിൽ നിന്നും നമുക്ക് കാണാൻ പറ്റുന്ന ഓർ ആ ഒരു ഏരിയയിൽ മാത്രമേ സൺഡേ റേസ് ആ ഒരു പർട്ടിക്കുലർ ടൈമിൽ എത്തുള്ളൂ. ഓക്കെ, ദാറ്റ്സ് വൈ വി ആർ സീയിങ് എ ഡിഫറെന്റ് ഷേപ്പ്. Eclipse of the moon and the sun. The object which cannot pass light waves are called opaque object. An opaque object, when light falls on an opaque object, it creates a shadow over there, right? And the earth and the moon are opaque objects. When the sun's light fall on the earth and the moon, their shadows are formed and they play hide and seek. Eclipses are nothing but the shadow of earth or the moon. The moon is revolving around the earth, right? At times during this journey, the moon moves into dark shadow of the earth and it does not receive any light of the sun. Then it gets hidden from view. We call this as lunar eclipse. That is, the earth will be in between the moon and the sun. So the shadow of the earth will cover the moon. When the moon is completely in the shadow of earth, that is total lunar eclipse. When it is partially under the shadow of earth, it is partial lunar eclipse. Like that, when the moon comes out of the shadow of the earth, the eclipse is over and the moon can be clearly seen. At the time of eclipse, the sun, the moon and the earth will be on the straight line. A lunar eclipse occurs only at night. Just as the earth casts a shadow on the moon also casts a shadow on the earth. That is, when the moon is in between the earth and the sun, it creates a shadow on earth. At that time, we can't see the sun properly. So, when the sun is completely hidden behind the shadow of the moon, it is complete or total solar eclipse, or when the sun is partially covered, that is partial solar eclipse. At the time of solar eclipse, we don't want to look at the sun. At the time of eclipse, occurs only during the daytime. The moon and the tides is the next topic. Although moon's gravity is very weak, it has a noticeable effect on Earth. വളരെ വീക്ക് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ഗ്രാവിറ്റേഷണൽ ഫോഴ്സ് ആണെങ്കിലും അതിന് എർത്തിന്റെ മുകളിൽ ഒരു നോട്ടിസബിൾ ഇഫക്റ്റ് ഉണ്ട്. It pulls the water of the sea and oceans of the earth causing tides. ഈ മൂണിന്റെ ഇഫക്റ്റ്, മൂണിന്റെ ഫോഴ്സ് ഓഫ് അട്രാക്ഷൻ കാരണം വാട്ടർ ലെവലിൽ വേരിയേഷൻ ഉണ്ടാവും എവിടെ? കടലിലും ഓഷ്യനിലും. ഓക്കെ, that cause tides. Since the moon is closer to the earth than the sun, the moon's pull on the water is stronger than the sun. And the water of the seas and the oceans on the sides of earth facing the moon is attracted upward. Earthine face enna moonne face enna earthine rendu pathile vellam upward, it will move upward, while the other side comes downward. Upward force water avumbom that cause high tides, and the other side that cause low tide. Okay, the intensity of the tide varies with the phases of the moon. Moon the phase in അനുസരിച്ച് ഈ tide intensity കൂടുകയും കുറയുകയും ചെയ്യും. The highest tide occur at the time of new moon and full moon. New moon ഉള്ള സമയത്തും അതുപോലെ full moon ഉള്ള സമയത്തുമാണ് ഏറ്റവും highest tides ഉണ്ടാവുക. Then artificial satellite, which is the first artificial satellite of India, that is Aryabhatta. Okay, artificial satellites are human-made objects which revolve around the planet. The space age began in 1957 when the first human-made satellite Sputnik 1 was launched to the orbit in space by Russia, the USSR. 1957, that is the space age started in 1957. That means Sputnik 1 was launched to orbit by Russia. On 12th April 1961, Major Yuri Gagarin of Russia became the first man in the world go to space. 1961 Major Yuri Gagarin, April 12, 1961, Major Yuri Gagarin, he was the first person who went to space. Valentina Tereshkova of Russia was the first woman who go into space. On April 3rd, 1984, Squadron leader Rakesh Sharma became the first Indian man who go to space. Was the first Indian woman you have already studied, that is Kalpana Chawla. Aryabhatta, launched in 1975, was the first Indian satellite. Bhaskara 1, Roshni, Adas D1, Apple, INSAT 1B, INSAT 2A, INSAT 2B, IRS 1A, OceanSat, Kalpana 1 EduSat, Saral and IRNSS 1 are some other Indian satellites. Important ആണ് പഠിക്കണം artificial satellites of India. Then now we can see what are the uses of artificial satellites. Artificial satellites are used for communication purpose. Whether satellites are there for taking pictures of movements of cloud and which help us to forecast weather, and it will give us information about cyclones, heavy rainfall, like that. It also gives us information about forest fire, floods and moving glaciers. Artificial satellites also gives us different kinds of information about particular area or region on Earth. This includes forestry data, groundwater data, fishing areas in the seas, etc. So these artificial satellites help us in many ways. Okay. So in this chapter we have studied about moon. What is the speciality of the surface of moon? Who are the person who landed on moon? Like that, the lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, effect of moon and on earth, etc. Thank you.